Hey guys, this week's podcast features Tommy Lombardo, the general manager at Ristorante Lombardo. Tommy came down, talked about his love of wine, moving back to Buffalo, and his plans for the future. Let's get to it.
Down here, man, and this wine is delicious.
Do you like it?
I do like it.
So it's like this like crazy thing that these like really rare values that you can find in the wine world.
Yeah.
Where the winemaker actually decides to hold their wine for like over 10 years before selling it. So it's
Really?
a 2001 vintage, but like the price isn't like that crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like how often do you get to drink like 12-year-old wine?
Yeah, right?
So not many. It's like, I think that's their current release right now is 2001. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of like going to work
Yeah.
and then getting paid 12 years later.
You
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
no one in the world does that. Like,
Yeah, like we went to the Lockhouse Distillery for
Yeah.
I guess it's going up tomorrow, but
same thing with like, whiskey. It's
and
like,
then they're telling me like, yeah, we're gonna put them in barrels, and then hopefully 3 years it'll be ready and we can sell it. Like,
exactly, yeah.
And that's even just 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I that whole business model is fascinating. Are you a big wine connoisseur?
I'm a wine professional. I mean,
It's kind of part of the gig, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something that I've kind of evolved into, like over time.
Yeah.
Being exposed to it in places that I've worked and having a lot of exposure to it
Yeah.
has definitely kind of made me more interested into it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was like super interested in it.
Yeah.
And
it's
then sought it out, or it was
Yeah.
just like all around me and just drinking it and tasting it and working in restaurants where they're constantly having you taste wine and constantly educating you about it.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I finally was like, wow, this is really amazing. Like,
Yeah, I think it's definitely an age thing too. Like, I
Yeah.
think like if you're a young kid,
Yes.
it's really hard to like try to explain the nuances of a bottle of wine, and then it's like, yeah, but I could just do like a couple shots.
well, and that's not exactly. It isn't always as affordable as
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it
drinking
can get
PBR
pricey.
or beer, just for beer for that matter. Like really good beer,
Yeah,
is
it's still
you
pretty
can get-
affordable.
It's still pretty affordable. You can drink some really amazing beer for like $10 a bottle,
Oh God, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And really, really amazing wine in a restaurant like starts to get into the like look at it this way. I feel like there's really, really good value in like quality wine once
Yeah.
you get over like $17 a bottle in
Okay.
a retail store. Like the stuff that the retail stores are selling for $10 is just not that great.
Yeah,
But like as soon as you get over 17, so now that in restaurants is going to be around like
yeah. You got to factor in like the
around
overhead
like
and everything.
$45, $50
Yeah,
a bottle,
yeah.
right? In restaurants, and not everyone is just like psyched about just like dropping $50 on a bottle of wine.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard sell, but I guess you kind of have to educate yourself to really describe to somebody why they would want this wine with whatever they're eating and things like that. Like
You have to kind of. Well, what I like to do is when I'm selling a bottle of wine, I preface it by saying that you have nothing to lose here. If you do not like it, I'll drink it. Someone will drink it. We're not going to charge you for it. We'll bring you something else.
Nice, that's
like
cool.
You have absolutely nothing to lose right now.
That's awesome.
No one ever sends it back. I don't know because like I haven't had that problem.
You haven't
just
had
yet.
that
I don't know if
experience
that's
where-
just because people are just like too nice, or if because I'm actually really good at my job. So
I'd like to think it's the latter, but
maybe it's a mix of both.
it would be kind of hilarious if you like poured it for somebody and
Yeah.
they just had like the worst face ever, and they're like, "Yeah, I guess we'll keep it." And you're just
yeah,
like, "No,
exactly.
you don't have
like,
to."
at that point, I wouldn't even. I would make the decision for like, well, I'm not allowing you to, so I'm going to bring you something else. So yeah, it's definitely about like saying, here, this is something that you've never had before.
Yeah.
And I want to expose you to something, and then I want you to. And then hopefully they'll taste it and say, thank God we tried that. That was amazing. I didn't know what I was missing.
Yeah.
And that's like your goal. It's like to expose people to things that they did not know they were missing, and
Yeah.
that like could actually make you feel this good and like
That's awesome.
provide,
That's got to be just a fantastic feeling.
yeah, exactly, right. So that's
all-
like the challenge is like with wine is educate, especially in Buffalo. I think Buffalo is a very blue collar town, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory
No,
kind
no,
of way.
not
It's
at
just
all.
the reality, and
It's hard
I think-
to sell, like nicer
Right.
bottles.
Exactly, and a lot of people just like don't see the value in like going out and spending a lot of monge on wine. So I talk about this a lot with other people in the restaurant business about the challenge of opening up a wine bar.
Yeah.
Because like the really fun, cool drinking stuff, like that's like, this is like, oh my God, like, wow, this is so fucking good. I know wine could be so cool. I'm going to have to charge you like $15, $16 a glass for it. And no one wants to pay $15, $16 a glass for it. And you know what I mean? So I think that like if you go to New York, like you'll see like the wine by the glass pours will be like probably $10 to $25.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that like I could do something like that and get away from like with like 8 to 18.
Yeah.
Or or 7 to 17, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm
That's
thinking about it. I want to
head?
do it, but it's just like there's a leap of faith in there.
Yeah,
you got to kind of make it as like the first market in the city that like loves
gotcha.
drinking beer and is not really super into wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you noticed like your clientele becoming more wine adventurous over like the last? Because you've been. I know you were in New York City for a while, and you got back to Buffalo
about a little over a year and a half now.
Okay, so in that year and a half, have you seen any progression in?
Yeah, absolutely. What I've actually seen, I've surprised myself that like, okay, here I'm going to try this thing and put this crazy wine on, and hopefully we'll sell it. And I've actually been really surprised and encouraged by the response.
Yeah,
it definitely takes someone like myself to be on the floor, or like a really
one
of our really educated servers to sell the wine to them.
Oh yeah,
people don't just like randomly go, oh, here, I'll take this wine that was aged in clay terracotta vats that were buried in the ground and are made from some crazy varietals that I've never heard of before.
That'd be amazing.
And are unfiltered and hazy, and orange in color.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked to like Tony from Mike A's, and he said, it takes a lot of skill to properly explain why somebody would want a bottle. Right.
I suppose, or you just need to be a really confident, good salesman.
Yeah, I guess
is a skill.
Yeah.
So yes, he's right.
but those have been going better than you thought, because I know I've seen that you guys have done a lot of like dinners.
Yeah. The dinners have been fantastic. The dinners have been one of the best things that we've done, actually.
Yeah.
Just the energetic and enthusiastic response from the clientele, feeling like we did this one dinner, the Friulian wine dinner, where one of the wines that we poured wasn't on the menu. It was going to be like a little surprise. And what it was this wine that is made in Slovenia, which is right across the border from northern Italy in Friuli, which once upon a time was part of Italy, and then after World War I, it became part of Slovenia.
Nice.
And this whole area in the northern part of Italy is just very like, the borders constantly switch, but the people have been living there for 600 years. I'm the sixth generation person that has lived in this house, but I lived in Slovenia and Italy and this, and So that's why it's on an Italian wine list and an Italian wine dinner. And what it was Movia is the name of the winery. And the guy that sells the wine, his name is Aless Kristanchik. He's this like 6 foot tall, larger than life guy that like describes his wine by like making sexual gestures with his hips and things like that. And
I love this guy already.
Yeah, he's really cool. And we did his Movia Puro, which is a sparkling wine.
Yeah,
that is not disgorged, which means the yeast is still in the bottle.
Oh.
So if you make...
So is like some sediment in there and stuff like that?
A lot of sediment. So the way that sparkling wine is made in the champagne method is that it's the same thing with bottle fermented beer.
Yeah.
And like bottle fermented beer, the bubbles actually come from the fermentation that takes place in the bottle.
Yeah,
and there'll be some little dead yeast on it, right? So kind of the same concept with champagne. That goes for a first fermentation, becomes still wine, and then they put it in the bottle. They add a little sugar, add a little yeast, pop a cork on it, ferments again. Now you've got like this thick, like syrupy yeast residue that you kind of want to get rid of, right?
Yeah.
So pretty much 99.999% of the winemakers in the world remove that for you, and Aless Kristanchik thinks it's cool that you would have to do it yourself. So the way you do it is by taking the bottle, because it's in the neck, right? The wine gets delivered to the restaurant upside down. Okay. Right? So that the yeast settles in the neck of the bottle. And then at the table, if you ordered this, I would take the wine bottle upside down, submerge it in water, right? So that it's completely underneath the water, that where the wine in the neck begins, it's underneath the water. And then I would uncork it. And the way physics works, the actual water pressure, because it's underneath the water, keeps the wine in there.
Yeah.
And the yeast will come out, and then you...
Wow.
Right? And then you turn it upside up, right? And and it
Wow.
works, right? But
Yeah.
except that it didn't work at the wine dinner. I've done it before where it had worked, right? And at the wine dinner, I just had all these people watching me. I'm like doing it.
It's kind of it's a little pressure.
It just went everywhere, right? It's just like I'm like covered in like yeast, like it's all over my shirt, it's all over my face, it's all over all the people that had crowded around me to watch what I'm doing.
That is fantastic.
And it was amazing how like the dynamic of the room changed. Like everyone was kind of winding down. It was towards the end of the meal that I did it, and then I did this, and there was this explosion, and everyone was screaming and laughing, and it was just like it was a great time. Seriously, champagne is like sparkling wine has some kind of properties.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
that is awesome. Because I saw the announcements and we like put them on our calendar because they sounded really
thank
cool.
you. Yeah,
I know
that you did that.
I was really jealous that I couldn't go to like any of those. Like
Well,
like
we've
the
got
timing
one coming up.
Oh yeah.
September 26th, we're actually doing a Freedom Run.
Oh, nice.
From
The
the
guys,
Niagara Escarpment.
yeah.
They're actually going to, hopefully at least one of the winemakers from the winery is going to be at the dinner to present the wines.
Oh, nice.
And that should be a good time for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're actually going to start the night out with a Freedom Run cocktail
Really?
made with their black currant nectar.
Wow.
We're going to do a gin fizz with black currant nectar.
That sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. For sure.
Speaking of cocktails, a couple weeks ago now, or I guess maybe a couple months ago, you were at the Inn cocktail
Yes.
off.
Yes.
So aside from even your love of wine, which is, I think the coolest thing is how enthusiastic you are. And I could understand why people would be really into the stuff that you're offering because like your attitude towards it and like telling the whole story and everything, like that's really cool.
That point there is like crucial, man. If you want to sell wine, forget about like what it tastes like. And all that shit.
The story behind
you
it.
Gotta tell them the story behind the wine because that's what makes it interesting, and that's how you remember it too.
Yeah.
You know?
But so on top of that, you're a fan of cocktails.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I've noticed that the cocktail program has definitely changed.
Absolutely.
At Lombardo's. How has that been going?
That's been going great. We actually have a cocktail right now on the list called Sergio Leone that is garnished with a stick of beef jerky. And one thing I love about Buffalo, actually, when I came home, I was like, immediately, like, it just kind of like dawned on me. I was like, that we should put like bacon products in drinks. Cause, like, people,
I had a drink.
Yeah, you had the honey pig, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause when I came home to work in the restaurant, I was like, man, you guys put like bacon and everything. You're like smoking everything. All right, fine. People like this, huh? All right, let's do it. We've got a smoker in the back, you know?
Yeah.
So I asked Mike, I was like, could you make some beef jerky? He's like, oh, yes. So he's like, making us like really fucking legit beef jerky. So we make this cocktail called Sergio Leone, which is the name of the famous Italian director who directed all the spaghetti westerns.
Oh, yes.
So it's Rittenhouse rye with some citrus-infused honey and really bitter Italian Amaro.
Nice.
And we garnish it with a stick of beef jerky, so it's kind of like our Italian Western
That's pretty
cocktail.
awesome.
Yeah.
That is pretty fantastic.
So, yes, to answer your question, I like cocktails. That was pretty much mostly what I was doing in New York was working with cocktails, and kind of wine just kind of like crept up on me because like I was working on a wine bar, but I was kind of like heading up the cocktail program, and just the wine was just all around me and everything, and I couldn't help but just drink lots of it and get into it. And now I'm working in a restaurant where cocktails are cool. Like we love the cocktail aspect of it, but wine is the big business.
Wine
for
is
us.
wine is king.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start at the beginning. Have you pretty much just always grown up in the restaurant world?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. From the day from when I was about 12 years old, I started working. In the restaurant, checking coats and like. I would help my mom plate desserts like as garde manger.
Nice.
Then when I was 14, I was washing dishes, and from that point forward, just every other job in the restaurant.
Was there any doubt growing up that you were going to work in the restaurant industry? Or
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So what was the plan like after high school?
To work in the restaurant industry. I guess it didn't. So you said when I was growing up, so I didn't actually doubt it until I kind of when I graduated college.
Okay.
And I got my first job after college, I was in Puerto Rico working in a hotel, and I just hated it.
What did you go to college for?
Hotel restaurant management.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, same.
And so I got this job in this hotel, and I was just, it was just too bureaucratic and
Like very brand focused.
yeah,
and stuff like
and
that.
just a lot of doing nothing all day. That just seemed like this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
I actually later learned that they were actually in the process of selling the hotel during the 8 months that I was working there. So it was just like go on a downhill trend. So I quickly quit that job and moved to New York and just started waiting on tables and bartending. And
Wow. Just like work your way up, or
just having fun. And
New York is a pretty easy city to have fun in.
yeah, and I would focusing a lot on like more creative stuff like screenwriting and acting and filmmaking and comedy and stuff like that.
Wow, you really went all in. For
And
all
then
that
in
stuff.
the last like 2 years, I started to get back into the restaurant business. Like,
Okay.
Hardcore, yeah.
Well, so when you went to New York, did you have like any hookups, or were you just like kind of just trying to figure it out?
Yeah, I had a few through. My father had reached out to some people in the restaurant association to get me a couple interviews.
Okay.
And actually, that's how I got my first job, because it's like impossible to get a job bartending in New York.
I feel like you have to know somebody.
I my first job was waiting on tables.
Yeah.
I did that for 6 months, and I got another job waiting on tables for another 6 months, and then finally I was able to get a job bartending at this little jazz club. Because it's like if you don't bartend in New York, you cannot bartend in New York, which is like, therefore you must lie.
Yeah.
And
So you have to say that you
bartended
worked
in New York to get a bartending job in New York.
I love that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredibly competitive.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
It's
Yeah.
So you just gotta,
So you just got to kind of like keep pounding and like finally find a place that you can get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then when you do, really bust your ass and show people that you're awesome.
Did you have like any prior bartending experience?
I did at the restaurant.
Okay.
I bartended quite a bit at the restaurant when I was like 20 years old. And,
Yeah. But was it a different type of bartending gig at that job, or?
Yeah, well, at the restaurant, all the basics of bartending, the important things that you carry with you for the rest of your life, I learned at my father's restaurant.
Yeah.
Like how to be an organized bartender, how to be speedy, everything, like it's almost like mise en place, like,
Have your station, basically.
Yeah. I learned all of that, but like the cocktail and the mixology stuff, I definitely learned in New York.
Yeah. And was that just something that you just were soaking in as much as possible as it was happening, or?
What happened was strangely enough, I worked at this little place called Louis 649.
Okay.
And I hope Zach's going to listen to this, because he's the guy that I worked for. He's a really interesting character.
Nice.
And it was a jazz club, live music, right?
Okay.
And when I was working there, he had beer and wine and like a few select like spirits.
Yeah, nothing.
And, like, he only had lemons, I think. He wouldn't carry limes. I was like, why don't you get some limes? What if someone, wants a lime in their vodka tonic or something? He's like, but then they go bad. And, it was like, and when I was like, why don't we get some bitters, Like, so if I want to make a Manhattan for someone, like, put some bitters in. And it's like, man, man, I got to order that stuff, and then you got to be here when the delivery comes, And anyway, long story short, now it's like an extremely aggressive and like profound cocktail bar. Like they are like turning out some like crazy cocktails there. And I'm not like taking credit for that.
No.
I did not, because I left before that all happened.
Yeah.
But to see where it has come from and to where it is now is just fantastic. So most of the mixology stuff I learned was when I lucked out and I got a job at the Gramercy Park Hotel working on the rooftop bar.
Oh, nice.
And that was a cool experience.
That's a pretty
and I
good
learned
place.
a lot. It was a pretty aggressive cocktail program about 7 years ago. And so they were they're sticklers about like measurements and jiggering and recipes and stuff like that. So I learned a lot about that there.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty good place to learn. Jeez.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you find your style more the exact measurements type of cocktail, or are you more the go by the feel? Like I feel like there's two different trains of thought. Like just even from like watching, somebody at Vera and somebody at Mike Hayes. Those are just the two places I can think of. Like Tony's pretty calculated. Everything he does is like measured, and then Vera's more like, this much and this much. It's kind of like which side do you find yourself more on?
I prefer to measure things out. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
When you're using speed pours and you're pouring a lot, you
Yeah.
can get pretty good at counting out and making
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that your measurements are pretty right.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just prefer to err on the side of caution, and the more you do it, the quicker you are, so you can get pretty quick with a jigger and things like that. And
Yeah.
So I typically try to measure things out for the most part.
Does what is your process of like cocktail creation go? Like, are you constantly having things just pop in your head that like, do you have like a notebook of like crazy ideas? Like, how does that work?
Maybe I did it once, but like, truth be told, like these days, not so much, just because it's like, I don't want to lie to you, but like, like every night I like sit down. Because you're like,
there's like you said, wine is a huge thing.
Like, it's not a
different...
big, when I come up with a cocktail for the restaurant, one of the things, it's not a cocktail bar, right? It's a restaurant. What I try to think of is just like, I'm coming up with cocktails that are going to work well in a restaurant in terms of we are going to achieve a excellent quality every single time.
Yeah.
So I try to keep the variety of ingredients down to a minimum, and I try to make sure that we can produce them with really, really fresh juices, whatever they are. So I'm not going to have 12 cocktails on the menu that all call for a different fresh squeezed juice.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then we'll inevitably be pouring like fresh squeezed juice down the drain. So I'll have like one or two,
Yeah, yeah.
And when I'm thinking about like how I'm going to make a cocktail, I'll definitely be inspired by something I've seen before or had before, or a classic cocktail.
Yeah.
And I'll typically start by like putting 3 ingredients in it, measuring everything out.
Yeah.
Just like writing down like, okay, that measurement worked. Okay, now let's switch that and then I'll add something else. And
yeah.
And what's fun is working behind a bar. Like if you were at Vera, it would be fun to create cocktails there because you look at their back bar. They've got like
it's like a
they've got like 189 to 500 different different Amaros. And,
you got to be a little bit more selective
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you can have a lot of fun. And since I've been at the restaurant, we have picked up a lot more of a variety of just like different fun, crazy spirits and liqueurs, and many of which haven't found their way into a cocktail, and they're just sitting there. I'm going, we're gonna figure something out with that guy. We're gonna use it somewhere.
Yeah, I think that audience is growing.
I just don't
in
have a lot of people coming in and calling for Batavia Iraq, this red rice liqueur from spirit from Indonesia, but we're gonna use it in a cocktail one of these days.
That sounds awesome. I think that audience for like craft cocktails and things like that is growing.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
People come in and order cocktails off the menu all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Definitely. And you know what? It's information, man. I mean, everyone's got the internet and Food Network and has access to blogs and knows or gets Bon Appetit magazine.
Exactly,
and,
right?
Sees, cool stuff. So,
that's
what's exciting about living in a place like Buffalo right now. It's because it's like,
we're on the upswing right now.
And, people just have so much access to education. We have our consumers are so much more educated than they were 10 years ago. So I can come up with something aggressive and be confident that we can sell it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Has there been anything like that you put on there recently where you were like, I don't know about this, but like
but we sold it anyway.
Yeah. Like a gamble that you thought was like pretty risky.
Yeah, there's a few things that didn't fly super well. We did a flip, which has a whole egg in it.
That's pretty.
And we might put it back on. It's a winter cocktail.
Okay.
A friend of mine, and I don't create all the cocktails.
Yeah.
We have our cocktail list is separated into house originals, and then we call them favorites and classics.
Okay.
So either a classic cocktail or a friend's,
nice.
of mine that had, I work with and created it. So a friend of mine created a cocktail called the Averna Flip.
Okay.
His name's Aaron Sherman, and you put a whole egg in it, and gin, Averna liqueur, a little simple syrup, and you shake it really, really hard, almost like you're with an egg white, but with a flip, and then you add ice and shake it again, and then you can finish it with a little nutmeg, and it's like this rich, eggnoggy.
Yeah.
It's super tasty.
I could see that working.
Yeah. It's great.
It's definitely a winter drink.
And we didn't sell too many of them. Unfortunately, but what are you going to do?
Maybe they weren't ready.
You got to trial and error.
That's awesome.
But the eggs, they don't go bad. We use eggs like crazy. So it's not like,
Yeah. So at what point in New York City did you start thinking about coming back to Buffalo? Or start playing with the idea?
Actually, not until I was in Argentina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Argentina.
So I actually did not plan on moving to Buffalo until I left New York to move to Argentina and live there.
How long were you there?
I was only there for 5 months. And I really originally intended to be there for at least a year. I was hoping even 2 years, but it just didn't work out. And like we were leaving Buenos Aires to go travel, and when I left Buenos Aires, I decided that I was going to end my travels by coming back to Buffalo.
Wow.
And that was pretty much when I made the decision, because it was just like the idea of moving back to New York after like selling all of my belongings, buying, furnishing another, it's just, and I didn't want to go back and bartend. I wanted to do something different, but the idea of opening up a restaurant in New York was just more daunting than
I can't even imagine what goes into opening a restaurant in New York City. Like it just seems like you have to have like millions of dollars.
Yeah, you do. Or you need to know people that have millions of dollars.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
You have to have a lot of friends that want to pitch in and invest in you.
It's so competitive, and it's like,
yeah, it is. You need to get like someone that like knows what they're doing, that has worked in a really good restaurant and is up and coming and is ready to branch out on their own.
Yeah. It's pretty daunting. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you came back to Buffalo, was there a hesitation that you're going to work back at your dad's place, or did you want to do your own thing? Like, was there like that thought in your head? Like,
well, no. I mean, I knew that if I were to come back to Buffalo, there was no doubt or question. Or
your family wouldn't even have allowed.
Well, it's just like it would just have been so strange and awkward. Like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like my father is the kind of person that just kind of like consumes everyone, his world, into this vortex that is the restaurant. You know what I mean? So it'd be like,
yeah.
It's just that's his life, that place.
Yeah.
He eats, breathes and sleeps.
Oh God, yeah.
Ristorante Lombardo.
Yeah.
Not everyone's like that. I mean, some restaurant professionals are able to draw a line and say, he's much more of an old,
the old style.
Old style, dyed in the wool, like,
yeah,
that kind of guy. So myself, so I knew that I would come back and work with him and see what I could do at that restaurant. And it was definitely a challenge for the first 6 months to a year, but we've definitely kind of hit a rhythm, because it was kind of like, here I'm interested in all these different fun, cool, exciting things, and I'm going to go back to this place that's been there for over 38 years.
Yeah.
And it's got a huge legacy. And
there's people who come in every week
what they want. And I'm going to go and change everything. So
you're going to throw away all their food.
It's definitely like a balancing act there. But it's actually been working out. And yeah, I would definitely want to do my own thing. But first, the plan has been to just kind of get this place kind of really nice and healthy and updated, and not that it hasn't been updated. He's actually been very good about evolving the restaurant. You wouldn't recognize it.
Well, I know that there was just recently a pretty big renovation in the dining room and everything.
Room. Yep, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's definitely coming out.
It's definitely in 1975. It was when they bought it. It was a cinder block building that made frozen pizzas.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly. So it doesn't even look.
I was going to say that I would never have guessed in a million years.
No, I know.
I mean, was there any hesitation on your end about Buffalo's scene in general? I mean, had you been like coming back and seen small progressions?
Yeah, I've been keeping tabs on it, and there were hesitations, but I think the urges to seek opportunity outweighed the fear of Buffalo not being ready.
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, there's opportunities here for me, to do things in the city that is kind of hungry for change or hungry for cool things. I felt like there's pent up demand for just cool stuff.
Yes. I can confirm that. Yes, I want cool stuff.
I had seen the success of Blue Monk and of Vera. I had seen the success of Blue Monk struck me as, wow, this place is charging $8.
Exactly, right?
In Buffalo, and people are happily paying it. That was so exciting.
That was like my favorite thing. Like when they opened, I walked in the first day and I was like, wow, that's a really expensive beer list.
Yeah.
And then I also looked around, I was like, this place can barely have it, like, is barely holding the crowd that they have now.
And so I was like, I just feel like it is. almost like we should be smacking ourselves upon the head as business people, saying, "Duh, just give people really quality, good stuff in a good environment. Give them good service, give them good food, give them a craft cocktail or whatever it is, and they will happily pay for it because it's about the experience." And it's like that's all you got to do. So I've seen the success of these places that have done that, and had kind of confirmed that you can do something like that too.
Yeah, I mean, when me and Alli, I think it was just this year when we went to Lombardo's for the first time. I loved it because it wasn't every other Italian restaurant that is in Western New York. Yeah. I mean, listen, my wife will swear up and down that she loves red sauce, and her dream, if she's ever craving anything, we'll just go somewhere and get red sauce and meatballs, and that'll be
it's
her
comfort
dream.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I walked in, I was like, holy shit, this menu is actually pretty inventive and creative. And besides, the only other place I could think that was like that was Carmelo's out in Lewiston, which is Italian, but also very seasonal and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, it's Italian, but it's regional Italian.
Yeah. Which
is that we select a food from a region or a town or a village and create it. What we're used to is the more Sicilian red sauce, Southern Italian food of the Italian American immigrant.
Yeah.
Right? But there's also this whole other part of the peninsula up in north, up on the border near Austria that has Spätzle and bratwurst and things like that. And up or along the coast with a lot of seafood and things like that, and just countless different pasta shapes and different ways to prepare pasta, different types of ingredients. And stuff like that.
So I mean, there's a whole world out there, but I think a lot of people in Western New York assume chicken parm and baked ziti and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know because I hadn't been there, but has the menu of Lombardo's pretty much been evolved over time?
I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I know. Mike has a part of that.
It was like that. It's been like that for the last, maybe almost 10 years or more.
Oh, okay, nice.
My parents go to Italy twice a year, and when they started going to Italy,
then it started to.
Yeah, they started going to Italy maybe about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And they started to kind of slowly work these things. It's fun. Every now and then we'll rifle through old menus and we'll look at we had grilled calamari on the menu 10 years ago, and then no wonder we didn't remember it because we probably put it on the menu and it didn't sell. So they were constantly testing the waters by trying stuff.
Yeah.
We tell the story all the time is we have grilled octopus on the menu right now and we sell a ton of it.
That's
and 5
awesome.
years ago we just couldn't do it.
Wow.
We would never have been able to do it.
That's insane.
People just wouldn't order it. But now, so slowly over the years we've been testing the water, trying to. So the menu right now has kind of got a little bit of a dichotomy where one half of it is still kind of a couple of the old standards, with Caesar salad and
dude, that Caesar,
it's good. It's great. I mean, it's nothing wrong. It's delicious, but it's just,
I didn't eat it, but I told Mike when he was down here, I was like, that show that goes on with that Caesar salad, that is a show.
Yeah. So our servers love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah. Exactly. So we had those old standards that people have been ordering for over 25 years, and we keep those on the menu.
Yeah.
And then with the other half of the menu, we just get as creative as we can.
You let Mike go
crazy.
Which,
I give ton of respect to the guys in the kitchen because that is a big menu.
Yeah.
And it's hard to execute a big menu with the high quality that they do, and they do it, and they do it every night, and they do a great job with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even bullshitting you just because you're sitting here, but it was probably one of the best meals we've had this year.
Awesome,
and it was fantastic. And me and Alli have been we kind of have this weird thing where we always have to go somewhere new because that's kind of our thing.
Yeah, I
but
respect that.
But if we ever have a minute to sit down and just eat for fun, I want to go back and
all right, great,
because it was really good.
We'll be there. We're not going anywhere. You got plenty of time.
I guess we can kind of wrap it up.
Right.
What do you have that you would like to do in the coming year and so on with the restaurant and your role in it? I guess what are you looking to constantly evolve and change?
There are. I would like to do a little bit more, a lot more. There's a lot to be done.
We have time. We can go on for as long as you want.
There's a lot to be done with I'm looking at Green Restaurant Association as something to do. They help. They give you kind of like a accountability system to like say like here you're trying to reach 100 points.
Okay.
So whether it's the post consumer products that you're using, or whether it's the local foods that you're buying, but like and also supporting local farms and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're wary of just like buying a local chicken and then saying we're a green restaurant, because there's a lot more that goes into it. There's just so much that goes into it. It's so complicated, And
that's
so we're looking at that.
That's cool. That's like very responsible.
We are looking at. I would like to do some more wine education or wine classes or like wine tastings.
Yeah.
Right now we're like on this wine dinner thing, kick, and we're gonna keep doing it. But in addition to that, I would like to do some other stuff like that.
Have you noticed like the crowds for those have been diverse? Like that you got new people coming to those dinners, or would you say it's like maybe half like diehard wine nerds?
I would say that it is. It's pretty diverse. I think actually the last couple, I started to see a younger demographic coming in for it. That's
really cool.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we definitely get like a bunch of the wine professionals will come. It's always great to see them there. And then some of our regulars will come.
Nice.
It's a big thing for empty nesters, I think, too, because they're all right, now let's go and fucking we get to have fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. Well, I promise I'll make it to one of these wine events.
Great.
That is my goal for 2014 is to like go all into wine. Like this year was bourbon for me. Like I was like
I like that. You've got like categorized it by year.
Yeah. And and like the year before that was scotch. So like I'm like trying to figure what I like and what I don't like. And so this next year I'm going all into wine.
Okay.
And so I will definitely be making an appearance at one of these events.
All right.
And yeah, Tom, thanks for coming down here. This is really cool, and thank you for the wine.
Absolutely, man.
This is getting me started.
You got it. You got it, dude.
And keep doing a great job. You guys are doing an awesome job over there.
Likewise.
Thanks, man.
You got it, dude.